A Grumpy Scot with a pint in hand, ripping through films like a one-man band. Snarky cinema where the burns are hot, honest reviews you'll never forgot. Oh hey oh, hey, let the truth be told. No sugar here, it's biting and bold. With smirk and a scowl and a hearty laugh, the Grumpy Scot is here to riff your craft. Remakes to sequels gone wrong, he'll tear them apart all video long. But if it's a gem, he'll tip his hat. Rare moments when praise comes from this cat. From cringe remakes to sequels gone wrong, he'll tear them apart all video long. But if it's a gem, he'll tip his hat. Rare moments when praise comes from this cat. Snark so sharp, it'll cut through steel. Honesty that you can taste and feel. No fluff, no fuss, it's a Scottish creed. For brutal truth, the world does plead. Oh hey oh, hey, let the truth be told. No sugar here, it's biting and bold. With smirk and a scowl and a hearty laugh, the Grumpy Scot is here to riff your craft. So grab your popcorn and duck for cover. It's cinema chats with a twist to discover. Snarky Scot with reviews that sting, a brutally honest movie rating king.
Hey, how are we all doing? Welcome to Tuesday night's Terrible Tales. I don't know. Did we come up with something last week?
Tuesday Views. Views Day?
Tuesday? Yeah, whatever. Right, anyway, we're going to be looking at John Carpenter's, what's it called? Big Trouble in Little China. This evening. I don't know, have we got anybody on? Got a couple of people watching, I think. Maybe they'll come in, maybe they won't. Who the hell cares? We're here anyway. If you want to join us, jump in the chat. There's two streams going, horizontal and vertical. So try and respond to either. So let's get into it, shall we? Shall I start off? Here we go.
Go for it. Yep, your show.
John Carpenter's 1986 fever dream, Big Trouble in Little China. And before any of you start typing furious comments about how I'm about to desecrate your childhood memories, let me be clear. I wanted to love this film again. I genuinely did. But sometimes, just sometimes, nostalgia is a lying bastard that convinces you that something was better than it actually was.
Language, sir.
For those unfamiliar with this particular slice of 80s cheese, Big Trouble in Little China follows Jack Burton, Kurt Russell, doing his best John Wayne impression while completely out of his depth as he stumbles through San Francisco's Chinatown trying to help his mate Wang Chi rescue his kidnapped fiancée from an ancient sorcerer. It's what Carpenter himself described as an action, adventure, comedy, kung fu, ghost story monster movie, which should maybe have been our first warning that nobody quite knew what they were making. The film was Carpenter's attempt to create his own kung fu movie inspired by Hong Kong action cinema he discovered in film school. Problem is, it feels less like a loving homage and more like someone describing a Hong Kong action film to someone else who then tried to recreate it from a memory while drunk. Now, let's give credit where it's due. Russell's performance is actually quite clever, even if it doesn't entirely work. He's essentially playing John Wayne as written by someone who thinks John Wayne was a bit of a twat. Jack Burton is all swagger and one-liners, constantly convinced he's the hero of his own story, when he's actually the bumbling sidekick, who occasionally gets lucky. The film deliberately subverts the typical white saviour narrative by making Wang Shi the actual competent hero, while Jack Jack just exists loudly. It's a neat trick. It was genuinely ahead of its time, predating the postmodern deconstruction that became fashionable in the 90s. The problem is, watching Russell stumble around for 99 minutes while thinking he's saving the day gets exhausting rather than endearing. And the film does get some things right, even if they're buried under layers of camp and questionable decisions. Carpenter's synthesizer score is genuinely excellent, perfectly capturing that 80s mystical adventure vibe. It's bombastic when it needs to be, mysterious when the plot demands it, and manages to elevate scenes that probably don't deserve elevating. When the film focuses on actual kung fu action, particularly with Dennis Dunn's Wang Chi, it delivers genuine excitement. The fight choreography, while not quite reaching Hong Kong standards, is energetic and well executed. Wang's competence in combat scenes provides a nice contrast to Jack's spectacular incompetence. And say what you will about the film's flaws, it's endlessly quotable. It's all in the reflexes. Everybody relax, I'm here. And the entire Pork Chop Express monologue have rightfully entered cult film lexicon. Russell delivers these lines with such conviction that you almost forget his character is supposed to be an idiot. Where it all falls apart, and sometimes quite spectacularly, the pacing problem. This film is the opposite of Andor. This film moves at breakneck speed, which sounds like a good thing until you realise it never stops to let you care about anything that's happening. Characters are introduced, kidnapped, rescued, paired off with romantic interests in what feels like a checklist rather than organic storytelling. By the time Lo Pan reveals his master plan, you're too exhausted from the relentless pace to invest in the outcome. Now, I'm not one for excessive political correctness, but even by 1986 standards, the film's portrayal of Chinese culture feels like it was researched exclusively through fortune cookies and Bruce Lee movies. Yeah, it's deliberately over the top and cartoonish, but that doesn't excuse the fact that it reduces an entire culture to mystical nonsense and martial arts stereotypes. The romance subplots. The relationship between Jack and Kim Cattrall's Gracie Law is about as convincing as a £3 note. They spend most of their screen time bickering. They share exactly 2 meaningful moments in the movie, and then Jack buggers off at the end without so much as a proper goodbye. It's less romantic chemistry and more like watching 2 people who actively dislike each other pretend to flirt. Meanwhile, Wang and Mai Yin's relationship exists purely to drive the plot. She's kidnapped at the beginning and rescued at the end. Well, there's no room for character development because she's asleep for the entire fucking movie. She's a classic damsel in distress, which feels particularly dated when viewed through modern eyes. So there's the practical effects. The work is genuinely impressive for 1986. Creating a world of flying warriors, mystical storms, and ancient sorcerers that feels tangible in a way that today's CGI often doesn't. The 3 storms, lightning, rain, and thunder, are visually striking villains with memorable designs. However, some effects have aged about as well as, and I think I forgot to actually start the vertical stream, which is stupid. There we go, It started. Anyway, so some effects have aged about as well as milk left in the sun. The flying sequences look awkward. Several monster designs feel more silly than threatening. And there's a consistent problem with obvious stunt doubles and continuity errors that become distracting on repeated viewings. This is perhaps the most frustrating aspect of Big Trouble in Little China. It's clearly the work of a talented filmmaker. I mean, who can deny John Carpenter? But he just couldn't quite nail the tone he was aiming for here. Carpenter's already proven himself with Halloween, The Thing, Escape from New York. But here he seems uncertain whether he's making a comedy, an action movie, or a fantasy adventure. Adventure. The film works best when it commits fully to being ridiculous. Lo Pan's dialogue, the mystical exposition dumps, Jack's complete bewilderment at everything happening around him. but it stumbles when it tries to be genuinely thrilling or romantic, never quite finding the balance between parody and sincere adventure storytelling. Does it deserve the status of a cult classic? And this is where things get complicated. Big Trouble in Little China absolutely deserves recognition for being unique. There's genuinely nothing else quite like it. It bombed spectacularly upon release, grossed only 11 million against a 19 to 25 million budget, and it left Carpenter so disillusioned he returned to independent filmmaking. But commercial failure doesn't automatically equal hidden genius. The film found its audience through home video and cable television, where its flaws are more forgivable in smaller doses and its quotable moments can be appreciated without having to sit through the entire experience. It's a cult classic in the truest sense, beloved by a dedicated audience who appreciate its specific brand of controlled chaos, but it's likely to leave casual viewers wondering what all the fuss is about. And this brings us back to the central issue, the nostalgia trap. Is revisiting Big Trouble in Little China? It's a film that works better in memory than in reality. The pacing issues, the cultural problems, and the tonal inconsistencies that you might ignore as a teenager become much more apparent when you're watching with adult eyes and expectations. The film succeeds as a time capsule of the 80s, excess and ambition, a snapshot of when Hollywood was willing to greenlight genuinely bizarre projects. But as actual entertainment, it's pleasant enough, yeah. And it's a great way to spend 99 minutes, provided you don't expect too much from it. The Big Trouble in Little China is the cinematic equivalent of that mate you all have who tells brilliant stories when he's had a few drinks, but it becomes exhausting if you spend too much time with them. It's got moments of genuine inspiration buried under layers of self-indulgence and confused storytelling. Kurt Russell commits fully to playing an incompetent hero. The practical effects create a unique visual world, and John Carpenter's score elevates the entire proceedings. There's also a film that mistakes frenetic energy for actual excitement and confuses quirky with genuinely funny. Would I recommend it? If you've never seen it and you're curious about 80s cult cinema, absolutely. It's a fascinating artifact of its time and genuinely unlike anything else you'll see. If you're hoping to recapture the magic you felt watching it years ago, you might want to leave those memories undisturbed. Sometimes the best place for our nostalgic favourites is exactly where we left them, in the past, viewed through those rose-coloured glasses that hide all the rough edges and questionable decisions. There we go.
I think that touched on all the right points, John. Very, very well said. You know, you kind of you gave it a claim, but you were also hard on it as well, which is exactly how I feel about this this John Carpenter production. Yeah. Yeah, but that's the thing you said. It's that, you know, you watch this decades ago and you're like, oh, it's wild. Yeah, Big Trouble in Little China. And then, you know, you watch it a couple of decades later and you're like, I've seen better than that from John Carpenter. Bloody hell.
Yeah,
like,
well,
yeah.
we have seen better than that. I mean, Ghosts of Mars, that was brilliant.
Steady on. Steady on, Grumpy Scot. Sean clearly hasn't seen Ghost on Mars.
No,
Don't bother, mate.
Is it that bad?
There's a few clips in the intro of Ghosts of Mars. Ice Cube and what's her name? Oh, who's the girl? She was in that Monster movie as well.
Species?
Species, yeah.
Natasha Hensridge. Hensridge, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one, yeah.
Right, so here we go. What we got in the chat? We've got Julie, evening. Espresso Mechanic TV.
Hello.
There's Theo. Shalini. Hi, Shalini. I don't know why Ben had to tell you about the new channel, Shalini. I've been telling everybody, and I left a message last week on the other channel. You've just not been here enough. You need to pay attention, lady. And that's about it at the moment. Right, so what have you got to say, David? Have you got anything prepared?
Couple of things, mate. Yeah, kind of like short and sweet, and it kind of echoes,
Yeah.
things what you said. Yeah. So mine is John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China is romp, a romp, folks, from beginning to end. It's part action, part fantasy, part comedy. And yeah, I guess you could call it a cult classic, in general, because of its take up from VHS, Laserdisc, DVD, and how a lot of John Carpenter's other classics caught on in the years after. And it's memorable because Big Trouble in Little China is quite simply absurd. It is absurd. I mean, I watched it a couple of days ago, and I'm like, oh my days, oh my God, this is just absolutely batshit crazy. In some ways, I didn't exactly miss it, but it was interesting to see it again. The film borrows from a lot of other films and genres, and Carpenter stitches it all together in some way. And when I was watching the movie, folks, I actually thought, you know what? I really think that Carpenter and the cast, they had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The cast, the crew, director, even the grips, the dolly grips, everyone, they had a right old laugh making this movie. The set pieces were great. All of the neon lights, that is one thing that John Carpenter does great. He does great with his set design team. He never usually lets you down on that, right? The practical effects were they were okay. They kind of still hold up today, but I know that kind of Carpenter has excelled himself before in that respect. Yeah,
I think that floating the eyeball thing was brilliant, though.
Yeah, that was one of the things that that stood up. Yeah, the acting was theatrical, deliberately so. It was deliberately hammerous, and I think that suited the production. But I did become a little bit tired of it at some point. It's like, okay, let's be serious. Let's kind of like play it straight. And then other times, okay, let's be hammerous, kind of like for the laughs. But yeah, so I got a little bit tired of that at times. All right. And there were great names involved in the cast. Kurt Russell as Jack Burton, as John just said there earlier. He's got some great one-liners, and I'm sure we'll get into some of those later on. We had the young and absolutely sumptuous Kim Cattrall, and also Victor Wong as Lopan, or as our East Asian friends would say, don't take any offense, Ropan.
Ropan, we meet again.
Ropan. And did you know, folks, that Victor Wong, who played Lopan, was also the eyeball guy in Blade Runner from 1982? That actual character's name was Hannibal Chew. You probably remember that part where Leon Kowalski and Roy Batty, one of the two main skin jobs, they went into this kind of eyeball shopper complex, and they met this character called Hannibal Chew. And he was the genetic engineer who said, I just do eyes, genetically designed. That was Victor Wong as Lopan. And I only cottoned it on and remembered when I heard him speak, and then when he was the old man version of Lopan in Big Trouble in Little China. So that was a cool connection. Honestly, Big Trouble in Little China, I'll just call it Big Trouble for short. It's great. I can see why people love it, and that it's a classic in its own right. But it's not one of my favorite John Carpenter productions. I mean, for example, we've got The Thing, we've got Prince of Darkness as well, and I'd rate those naturally much, much higher. But you'll still get...
Was Assault on Precinct 13 has as well.
Yeah. But you'll still get a kick out of Big Trouble in Little China. So if you haven't seen it yet, folks, where have you been? Just go check it out, see what you think, see if you agree with what we're saying in this evening's retro review. And yeah, that's it. Go and see it, folks. Check it out. It's crazy.
What you got, Sean? You get anything about it?
Yeah, I got some thoughts about it. Now, I like these two. I've not seen it before in my life. And when I first saw it, I was like, huh. It's one of those like sort of like a bit over the top, wacky pacing films that you get from the 80s and kind of like that. And in some ways, I think it's somewhat better than some of the shit we have here in modern media. you know.
Yeah.
But in general, it was a bit like fast paced. It kind of got confusing at times. I did feel like the characters were kind of like just like flung together, you know, with like either being like romantic interests or just like there for the plot, like or like not being for the plot, but just like there, like okay, what are you doing? But and then that one scene where that one guy, one of the trooper guys with the who were in the yellow bandana just got eaten by some sort of monstrous bug thing in the sewer. I'm like, okay, was that significant? Is that thing going to come back? Oh, what happened?
Random.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that just felt so random. And another thing that I thought was really random, like okay, the eye thing I kind of get. You know, it's kind of like he's a sorcerer. You know, he has this magic to create this like beholder creature to be his eyes and be like a sentry. But then there was that big furry thing. It was like a
Yeah, like
it
the
was like
Sasquatch.
yeah, it was like Chewbacca's. It was like Chewbacca's incest created cousin. That's what basically it looks so weird, and I'm like, it just was just so out there. Like,
Yeah.
Hey,
okay,
there's a
I
new
thought
Star Wars movie coming out. It's called Inbreeding on Endor.
Well, I agree, Sean. Just to interject, Sean, I think they could have actually have done a lot more with that particular character. I actually think that John Carpenter he's introduced the body horror genre, like with The Thing, into his films. He could have done a lot more with that. He could have had a human transform into a monster, a bit more of the body horror stuff.
Yeah, it could have been like a minion,
scary.
like he just like like being like a watchdog. That would have been a bit more, made more sense in a way. But it just kind of felt like it just was placed there out of nowhere for me. Overall, when it comes to humor, I think the humor could have been better because like I don't know if it's just me.
It could have been better.
Probably just me, but I didn't really like laugh out loud or anything. Like there's some bits of like, huh, all right, that's funny.
Yeah, me too.
Like when when the main guy just started shooting his gun in the air and then the rocks just
yeah,
like
slapstick.
I'm like, what the
Like,
fuck? Honestly, like it was an interesting sort of film, and I thought like it's not gonna be like movie of the year or anything like that, but it's just like be like one of those like things you can watch. You just want something that's over the top and wacky, just like going that's completely mad. Then give this film a try, especially since it has one of my favorite or an actor that I really know very well, and it's actually a James Hong. I think it's the guy who plays the main villain. Yeah, I barely know any of the other.
James Hong.
Yeah,
he was the guy that was the eye man. James Hong.
And there's Victor Wong. I got confused. With that as well,
Victor Wong was the bus driver.
Yeah. Action.
Yeah. James Hong is someone else I don't really know as like filming actor, but I knew him more as a voice actor.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Because he's voiced many different characters over the years. Like for one example, he voiced a villain from old show I used to watch called Jackie Chan Adventures. Yeah, because he has that sort of like that distinct voice. When you hear like it's him. And he also
I get it
plays,
every time we go to the Chinese. Yeah, flight lies.
The Grumpy Scot starting already.
He's also the goose dad in Kung Fu Panda.
Okay.
Yeah. So if
I think maybe the audience are starting to pick up in your fascination for voice acting.
Huzzah. And also, funny enough, there's actually like something else he's done voice in, and it's actually I think it's some sort of homage to this film. There's a series it ended a while ago called Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. A brilliant show. I highly recommend you watch it. It's generally really good. It's not like a Pish Velma or anything like that, but it's a generally good show. And one of the episodes, one of the monsters of the week sort of thing was this sort of like white and red wizards, and that looked very much like the main villain of this film. And funny enough, one of the voice actors for those characters was actually James Hong.
Okay.
And he was actually, in that Scooby-Doo episode. And now I'm remembering that and looking at this film like, that must have been an homage to this. And I think that's pretty cool. That like you said, it being a cult classic, and it's still having somewhat of an effect of, sort of modern media not today. I think that may be all I have to say.
Okay. So
Yeah,
Victor
there was some other good.
Victor Wong was also in The Prince of Darkness. He was a professor.
I was just going to say it. Yeah, thanks for interjecting. That's correct. Yeah, he was great in that. He was the professor, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Right. So, what else did we think about it?
Let me see. We could go on to the quotes, John. I'm sure you got like a lot of quotes. There was, I think this kind of brings us into a particular time of the 80s as well, where it was still relatively safe and it was all right just to take the pish out of different cultures. Yeah, like the Westerners, the American Westerners could take the piss out of the East Asians, and it's like ha ha ha, like kind of like whatever. You try and do that now in a similar styled remake or production of Big Trouble, and yeah, you're gonna have a lot of people kind of getting offended. So there were those nice little moments and jokes between what was it, Jack Burton and Wang Chi.
Yeah,
Dennis Dung as Wang Chi. So that was cool. We were, back then we were living in more of a relaxed time where we could just like take the piss out of each other in Hollywood, and yeah, it was absolutely fine. And the one-liners were great. There was that moment. I'm sure people would get offended by it today, where Jack Burton, Kurt Russell's Jack Burton, sees Susie Pye as Miao Yin, where she's, I think it's her first entrance through the airport, right?
Yeah.
And Jack Burton totally misses the point. He just says, "I love Chinese food." It's like, woo woo! People are going to get offended by that nowadays, aren't they?
Yeah. Are you ready for this, Jack? I was born ready.
Yeah, it was a great moment as well. It's all in the Reflexes near the end.
Yeah,
what was the
that's
other
right.
classic? He said, "I'm not saying I've been everywhere and done everything, but I'm pretty close."
Yeah. Are you
So
not
the
going to
one-liners
even
were
kiss
really
her
good.
goodbye? No.
Yeah.
Didn't even do that. Like, I think you earned it, buddy. You saved the world, I guess. Sort of.
Yeah, but he didn't. What's his name? The wee guy, Wang Chi. He saved the world, really.
Yeah.
Remember when Jack had knocked himself out with the bricks, and when he came to, Wang Chi had killed everybody, or knocked them all down, or whatever.
Yeah, Wang Chi was pretty much had a reversal of fortune, didn't he? He kind of started off the sidekick, and his journey, his arc was in the end he became the hero. You know?
I think the pacing just sort of messed up that part, so it wasn't as good as some other stories like that. So I think the pacing could have been better. Honestly,
What could have been better?
The pacing. The pacing.
I think the pacing was too fast, generally.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. The pacing could have been better, with some bits.
But I don't think that affected the fact that, I mean, what's his name? Carpenter did reverse the protagonist to become the sidekick, really. Because you thought Jack Burton was going to be the guy, and it turned out it wasn't him. It was Wang Chi that was the main man. Yeah. Which is refreshing at that time of the 80s.
Yeah, I completely also get what you said earlier on, John, like why people might get confused because of the pacing and the introduction of certain characters at certain points. Like we had the Sleeping Beauty, we had like Miao Yin. It's like, all right, okay. Then Kim Cattrall's like Gracie Law. I think it just provided some confusion because there's just so many pacing issues. It was so kind of slapstick. It's like throw it all together, make it a romp, make it kind of funny with the action and a little bit of kind of horror and stuff like that. And let's mix all up, folks, and let's see what kind of happens. And yeah, you're right, John. It bombed. It bombed at the box office. I think for a lot of the reasons that you discussed. It had a $19 million budget, pretty damn big for its time in Hollywood, and it grossed about $11 million. But it made money thereafter, with the introduction of VHS and then Laserdisc, DVD. So it made some money back later.
Yeah. What was it? The one that confused me that I still can't quite figure out is Lopan was doing all this to become mortal and flesh, right?
Yeah.
So what was he when he was in the wheelchair?
He was like a 200-year-old man or something.
I think it's like
Yeah,
I think it was like I think it was like the whole I think he was immortal, but the problem is he kept aging. You know, some people think like just being immortal means, oh, I'll stop aging, but sometimes it can mean like you would still age, but you would still not. So by that point, like he would just be so shriveled like a raisin. So, I think that kind of makes sense why he wants to like be like mortal again. If it would reverse his age and
Yeah, and at one point, I actually thought that it wasn't the same actor. At Lopan when he's in his true kind of form with his garments, and then the old guy. I actually thought I'm like, hold on a second, is this John Carpenter like doing some sort of like cameo here? I genuinely thought that, and but also as well, it was really apparent with the kind of much older version of Lopan that. It was very evident that the makeup department was at work there, with the skull cap. It was it looked like, they've deliberately tried to age him incredibly here. I'm sure nowadays we wouldn't notice it maybe as much, but it's like, get the skull cap on. And it really looked like, this is makeup whenever I saw Lopan like that. And that was a bit kind of took away from the character a little bit for me.
Yeah. Oh, so there you go. Big Trouble in Little China. I tell you what, what's your guys' picks then? We'll get the poll running
All right, let's see.
for next week.
I want to see if I can. I want to see if I can suggest something that would make us laugh.
So talking about movies that have got a huge budget, right? I don't know if you're into Formula One, but they made a movie over the last 2 years called Formula One, the movie, starring Brad Pitt and I don't know, somebody else. But all the Formula One drivers are in it as well, basically, because it was filmed on Formula One circuits over the last 2 years. Now, the question is, it's probably one of the most expensive movies made, 300 million. Is this going to make money?
300 million.
Yeah, Jerry
Flippin' hell.
Bruckheimer's involved in it, and
Oh.
I mean, 2 years filming in Formula One tracks while the Grand Prix weekends were on. They were driving F2 cars that are CGI'd to look like Formula One cars once they've finished their trickery, because they would. Brad Pitt, there's no way Brad Pitt could do a couple of laps in a Formula One car. I mean, the man's 61 years old.
Yeah, even with training, like that'd be rough.
300 million. Woof.
300 million.
Yes.
That's a lot of money on a movie, isn't it? Right. Anyway, what's your choice, Sean?
All right. Because we went to the whole, Chinese element here, and because I want to see if I can think of a comedy to make us laugh a bit, I will pick Rush Hour.
Rush Hour. Oh, with Jackie Chan?
Yes.
I believe I saw that at the cinema. Yeah,
Okay.
when it was released. Yeah, nice one.
And what's your pick, David?
I'm gonna stick with retro, folks. I'm gonna move into the sci-fi action violent genre from 1987. I'm gonna pick the absolute classic by Paul Verhoeven, RoboCop.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You've
baby.
never seen RoboCop?
I've seen it.
Oh, you've seen it?
Good.
I saw it for Project.
The original, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, basically
So-
Yeah, I
Ed
saw it for
209?
Project. Yeah. Basically, what it was back when I was in my media course. Basically, what we had to do was like do like a radio thing where we review certain things. So me and my group would review like the original RoboCop and the remake.
Oh yeah. Wasn't a big fan of that 2014 version. Old as gold, baby.
Yeah,
Old
I like
as gold.
the new version. I thought Gary Oldman was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Better give it another watch again. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
What did
Rush
you say
Hour
again,
versus
Sean? What did you say,
RoboCop.
Sean? Rush Hour.
Rush Hour.
Rush Hour.
Hey, we're both picking cop films.
I haven't seen Rush Hour for ages. Right. Let's see what they say. So, polls are running. Get your votes in. Oh, it's 50-50 at the moment.
Whoa.
50-50. People on the live chat, you can vote as well if you want. You don't need to talk to me. You might be shy on the vertical. Or then again, you might not be. You just aren't there.
Is the vertical there?
Bit of trivia, folks, back on Big Trouble. Carter Wong, who played Thunder, he was a kung fu master in real life, and I'm pretty sure, folks, that they actually had quite a lot of martial art experts in that production. But Carter Thong, what do you say, David? Carter Wong, who played Thunder, he was a kung fu master.
Yeah, I mean, when you read the cast, it's like James Hong, Victor Wong, Carter Wong, Peter Kwong, James Pax, Susie Pai, Chow Lee Chi, Jeff.
Just Jeff.
The guy, remember the guy that was, what was it? There was Rain, Thunder, and James Pax was Lightning. Oh no, it was Peter Kwong who was Rain, wasn't it? He was the guy with the grey kind of silky pajamas on.
Yeah, Thunder, of course. I don't know if it was an inspiration for, the later on game like Mortal Kombat, but every time I saw Thunder, I know you'll understand this, Sean, I was just thinking it's Raiden.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Lord Raiden, from Mortal Kombat. So there could have been a bit of inspiration from that movie, maybe.
Yeah, like we were talking about, it's a cult following, so it's possibly that some of these things could have inspired like modern media nowadays. Even though I'm not really familiar too much with Mortal Kombat, I think some of my main introductions to it was watching like Death Battle, basically like where pits some characters from Mortal Kombat with other characters from other media that are similar.
Is that like when they were fighting each other and the holograms appeared? And what's his name? Lopan's using his thumbs like a controller. Did you see that? You remember when Egg, what's his name? Egg Shen and Lopan were fighting, and then the big holograms appeared, and Lopan's going like this with these fingers.
Yeah,
it was like they were working.
I remember. Yeah. It was like they're playing Pokemon. I choose you.
Yeah, it was like they were like kind of like ancient like warriors like fighting each other or something like that. Yeah. That was interesting. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, it was.
And I know this is. I'm gonna dip into a little bit of controversy. I'm sure you'll appreciate this, John. But I remember in that particular scene at the airport where we had Jack Burton, Kurt Russell saying, "Oh, I love Chinese food." And then Susie Pai was the actress who played Miao Yin, the lady with the green eyes. Apparently, she didn't have green eyes in real life. They used the green contact lenses for her. Okay, folks. But when I saw her entering, I'm thinking, hold on a second, she's not East Asian, so I had to do a little bit of digging. So it's a little bit. She was supposed to.
Did you not say she's not Chinese?
No, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Right. It was hard to tell. Like,
no, she doesn't look Chinese to me. Where is she a Thai?
No, she's quoted as being. There's not so much known about her background. I did a little bit of digging.
Yeah,
she's supposed to be like Chinese American Chinese, but yeah, it was a little bit kind of like odd when I not to get into it that much, but I was a bit like, it's like, no, she's not Chinese. She's like an American that they've kind of dressed up like to be like this for the production, but she does have apparently Chinese descent. So that was actually a little bit kind of confusing with the casting. Maybe it was like deliberately done like that, where she's supposed to be kind of like, oh, this lady with green eyes.
Yeah.
It was a little bit confusing for me because I initially thought that Miao Yin. I'm like, no, she's not Chinese. But
I was thinking maybe you're remembering her from Penthouse Pet of the Month, January 1981.
Sergeant Grumpy, I wasn't even a twinkle in my parents' eyes at that particular time. Maybe she was a pin-up for you.
That's another movie with a former pin-up girl, shall we say, in it.
Oh my god.
Because remember, we had Apocalypse Now, and now we've got this.
Yeah.
So that's all
Yeah.
done Penthouse and Playboy. So what's next? Big Norks or whatever? I don't know. What's
Norks.
that?
What
Norks.
the hell's big Norks?
Oh, for God's sake! Never mind. You
He'll-
would know
he'll-
what
he'll
Big
tell you later
Norks were,
on.
wouldn't you, David? If I said
Of
that
course.
lass has got some big Norks, you would know what I meant.
Norks, rack, baps.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, of course. Whatever
only-
euphemism you want to pick. Like,
The only Norks I know were those like ogre creatures from
Yeah,
the
just
old
shut up
Spyro
now,
games.
Sean. You're just embarrassing yourself.
I do not understand your old man lingo.
Well, that's why you should be quiet. Anyway, right. Yeah,
scores
come
on the doors.
Come on, we've only got a 50-50 at the moment. How am I meant to
Jesus.
pick a movie from a 50-50? I know
Would you-
what I would
would you
do. What?
Would you vote?
No, I won't vote.
Carter Thong is a prawn star.
Yeah.
slip
What?
of the tongue there, folks.
What I would say is the one that got voted for first gets the thingy. But we've now got another vote in, and RoboCop has inched ahead
Oh,
on 67%.
We got 4 people watching. Come on, folks, get your votes.
Is that all?
Three votes.
Four?
that's it.
We only
Only
got
four?
4.
Jesus.
No.
5.
Four,
We got
I'm
5
John.
now.
5. Come on, people. Vote.
Vote, people. Express your independence to vote.
Oh, there's a movie I might have to call up at some point. Rollerball.
Oh, the 1970, was that 77, 78?
Something like that.
Something like that. 76 to 78, I think that was released. Yeah.
James Caan.
Mm-hmm.
Come on,
Classic.
Jackie Chan, bring it on.
I've got an
come
idea
on.
for next week's pick when I get to choose again. Or when I get
Oh,
to
what's that?
submit. Well, I can't tell you just now. Tell you nearer the time.
Why not?
Come
Tell
on.
us. Tell
It
us.
would spoil it. They would spoil the suspendals for the people in the chat.
Yeah, bloody tease.
Come on, keep voting. Vote, people. Vote.
Vote,
You know you
vote,
want to.
vote,
And while
vote.
you're voting, remember, hit that like button, subscribe, share, evangelize. Put us out there. So since last week, I think there's a couple of extra reviews up on Snarky, where we are just now. What have we got? We've got How to Train Your Dragon, Cinema Chaos during How to Train Your Dragon. And we've
Brilliant
got
film.
Star Wars Andor Season 1 review. Unbelievable, it says. And coming out, and that's been well attended. That's at 345 views. That's not too bad for this. For a channel that's only got 36 subscribers now.
Oh, 36 subscribers? All right.
Yeah.
Listen, people, if we can get this man to 100 subscribers, he will dress like a bunny rabbit or do some
Don't-
embarrassing dare. Come on, get it to
Don't-
100 subscribers.
Don't say things that I'm not prepared to do. And
You'll do it.
coming out over the next couple of days, we'll have Andor Season 2. And on Sergeant Grumpy channel, I think we're going to have a true crime special on Joe Cox.
Is that on Thursday?
Oh, no, that's a rabbit hole. The rabbit hole may well be the Glock again.
The
The
Glock?
Nazi Bell.
Oh, the bell. I missed the one on Rendlesham. That looked quite fascinating.
It was quite interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was quite interesting. Quite enjoyed doing it. And now we've got one for the Bell, I think, coming up this week. We'll see how that goes.
Bell. Rendlesham, that was Bentwaters. That was the
Yeah.
other name for it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
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 And then, of course, All In on Friday, because we need All In. It's like part of the week now, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and I mean, every week the world just gets worse. It's incredible. Absolutely
Yeah, I prefer to
incredible.
just block it out. Just
Yeah,
focus
well-
on and just focus on the pit at home.
So I've done Andor Season 1, Season 2, Rogue One. I've watched Rogue One, and I've rewatched A New Hope. So I've got to rewatch because I'm doing the whole Star Wars thing, and I'm bringing the people along with me through this journey as I rewatch it all. But then after Return to the Jedi, I'm getting to the sequels, and I don't even know if I've watched all the sequels.
Wait, have you seen the original trilogy? Not the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah, I've done them.
All right,
They're on the channel.
All right, have you seen the Clone Wars series?
No, I'm not going to watch that
Why not?
because I'm only doing the movies and Andor because Andor's bloody brilliant.
Many Star Wars fans say the Clone Wars are brilliant.
They may, but I'm not doing the Clone Wars.
Very disappointing, John. Very disappointing.
I'm only doing the movies. I don't
And
need to
Andor,
do the
apparently.
Clone Wars. Yeah, and Andor. But Andor's actually good TV. Much better than anything else I've ever seen from Disney.
Yeah, probably fair.
So,
I don't
have you
know,
watched it?
but no, I've never seen. I haven't watched much Star Wars stuff. Like, I think I've only seen The Phantom Menace, A New Hope. I think I've seen Empire and Return of the Jedi maybe a long time ago, and I've seen the sequel series, or sequel trilogy. So, I haven't really watched any of the shows. So,
well, there you go. So you can't really slag me for not watching your shows if you've not
I'm
seen
just saying, like, if you're doing the whole thing, if you're just like,
No,
okay,
I said I was doing the movies and Andor. That's all. That's what I said I was doing in chronological order. I'm not doing all 27 series of Star Wars or 27 different series of Star Wars. I'm just not doing it. I'm not going to sit through things like Ashoka and Clone Wars and
Ahsoka.
The Acolyte and all that nonsense. I'm just not in the Book of Boba Fett, which is like the
What about
retirement.
Mandalorian?
Mandalorian started off okay, but went downhill pretty quickly. Especially when it became a merchandising opportunity for that stupid, diminutive Yoda.
I think that's where Lucas made his most money, didn't he?
Yeah, I know.
It was the merchandise really from Star Wars that made him a billionaire, wasn't it?
And that's where most of his that's where most of the TV shows spin-offs are just elongated adverts.
Yeah, I think if you're an actor, if you've got a relatively minorish role in any of the, in any of the Star Wars saga, like you've pretty much got your money made, from Comic Cons and exhibitions and things like that. If you're pretty noticeable, you're kind of set for life, really, with what you can rake in thereafter.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look at that. What's his name? That guy, Poe? Or whatever. I don't even know who he is, but he's got a character in Fortnite and things like that. So this is all going to rake in money for that actor because it's his likeness.
Yeah, royalties and God knows what. Mm.
Right, okay, I'm going to end the poll. 67%, it's RoboCop.
Get in.
All right, there you go, David.
I'm glad you saw it already, Sean. It was a project. That's great. It's great to know, like at media school, they're chucking in those movies. That's cool.
Yeah, it was more like our own choice. Like they just asked us to do something like and we just chose to do like a sort of review of a original and a remake.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're already au fait with the movie. And it's really interesting because there have been a couple of versions of it released where they've digitally remastered it, not THX, but they've done some extra color grading. They've sharpened up Ed 209 and improved the sound quality as well. But I'm sure we'll get into that.
Is there any version that you would prefer we watch?
Just watch whatever you can get your hands on. I'm aware in 2020, I don't think Orion Pictures are in existence anymore, but a production company, released an ultra high def 4K version of RoboCop, which is supposed to be the nuts. It's supposed to be very good.
All right.
If you can get your hands on that,
right?
Great.
Okay, doke.
Great.
All right. You were holding these braces, Tom. Right. Next. That is.
I think
this evening.
A bit early, but yeah.
A little bit early, but yeah, it's been great for me.
Yeah, well, is there anything else we want to chat about? Any movies upcoming that you're going to go and see? Anything coming out?
I think I'm kind of holding out right now. I was saying this to Ben a couple of nights ago. For IMAX, I'm holding out for Tron Ares. I know Superman's on the way. Everyone's very excited.
F1's on IMAX.
Is on IMAX? Oh, that'd be pretty cool on IMAX. Actually, the last F1 movie that I saw, just in a regular like cinema setting, not IMAX or anything, was Rush. That was released in 2013, and that was bloody well good. Chris Hemsworth was in that.
Oh,
you remember that, John?
Chris Hemsworth.
Don't
what movie was he in? That you said?
Pretty much an F1 fan, so it's got to be really good before I start getting excited. The last Grand Prix movie that I thought was really, really good was Grand Prix.
I didn't know they make Grand Prix films.
No, Grand Prix with what's his name? It was set around Monaco. What's his name? Guy with the bad knees. Jim Rockford. What was his name? Yeah, the guy that played Rockford. It was him, wasn't it?
Yeah, so Rush 2013, James Hunt and Niki Lauda. That was the one that I saw, and it was very good. None of this CGI 300 million Jerry Bruckheimer pish. None of that.
See,
300 million's just like a shit ton of money. Can't get over that.
Nuts.
Let me see. Grand Prix, the movie. James Garner. That was it. James Garner.
Let's see.
That was set. That was. What was that? That was in. It won 3 Oscars. That movie. Who else was in it? James Garner. Anybody else we know? Probably not.
So yeah, I'm holding out for Tron on the big Mahusive screen. That'd be my next kind of sci-fi outing. Last one was Tron Legacy. Saw that at IMAX as well. It's just there's just movies like that where you just kind of have to hang out for the big screen for the visuals, the sound, and everything. So it's going to be interesting to see what Disney do with Tron Ares. But that's not until October, I think.
For me, like films I'm looking forward to are
Superman.
Maybe I may watch that. You know, it seems interesting. And besides, James Gunn is making it, so
Superman's James Gunn.
Yeah, he's the director. Yeah, he's the same guy who did the other Suicide Squad film, the one that was a bit more better than the other one.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four, maybe. I don't know. I just hope
I think
it's
it's
not
going to be awful. I just think it's going to. I think it's going to be awful. Well, it's another girl boss movie, isn't it? Really, Sue Storm's becoming like this.
Is it another reboot of the Fantastic Four that was released?
But
10 odd years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. There's the original one I saw. Like there's the original one, and then there's that god awful reboot. I'm like, oh god. And then
this is going to be a god awful reboot. They're making a Silver Surfer.
Like we don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
The Silver Surfer's a woman.
Yeah, that's something that happened in the comics. So there's different.
Not in this movie. It didn't. This is just a reboot of the same movie. This is the start of the what do you call them? Frantic Four.
Frenetic Four.
What?
So Sean, the Silver Surfer was also a woman.
They're different. So they're different, like individual Silver Surfers. Multiple ones. So there's one there were ones that were men, and there were ones that were women in actual comics.
Okay.
So yeah, that's that. I mean, I've heard about that, and I think the only thing that people were complaining was like, they wanted her to be more like comic accurate. But
instead of like Lara Croft like or something like that, it's like, oh, we want to see her like Lara Croft like, or we want to see her like the comic book. We want it specific. We want it exact.
more like So I'll give it a watch. I'm more interested in that than I am with Superman. See what they're gonna do. I just kind of hope that like they stop doing the whole multiverse thing soon, because honestly, the multiverse thing has not been really working out well. It worked out for some films. It worked out for Deadpool, Wolverine. It worked out for Spider-Man, No Way Home.
Did you like Deadpool Wolverine?
Didn't watch it yet.
Oh, loved it.
Didn't see it yet.
It's generally a good film. Like if you've seen the other Deadpool films, I would say I actually like this one more than the first one, and the second one would be at the bottom for me. But I generally do like it. It's pretty awesome, and
it's okay. But the first one, see, the first time they do something, I think it works, and then they try
First
and
Deadpool
make
was great.
Yeah,
it depends. Like it depends. Like for some films, sometimes a sequel can be better in some ways. Like for example, Kung Fu Panda was really good, but the sequel is largely loved more by the fans. So it is the better one in all honesty. The third is kind of like in the middle between them, or kind of on par with the first. And then the fourth one was, well, we don't like to talk about the fourth one.
I don't think I've seen anything by the first
one. Let's see. I'm really looking forward to. I am looking forward to the new Jurassic Park film, Jurassic World. See how it is,
God, they're still going with it. They're still checking on.
I had a sort of same reaction, like, really, because we kind of had to sort of end it. I felt like that was it ended, but it's still, at least it's doing this thing, this world rebirth. But I'll give it a chance, see how it is. See what other films. Oh yeah, Scarlett's in it.
I remember Jurassic Park from 1991 or 1992. I remember seeing that when I was a wee lad, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I actually like Jurassic. I think when it comes to Jurassic Park films, I think I like from lowest to like most liked. It's the second one, third, and then the first. I like the most.
Okay.
But I think if I would add the Jurassic World films to that, I think I actually like the first Jurassic World more than the original Jurassic Park, or maybe at least on par. See, and other films I'm looking forward to seeing. Funny enough, they're both getting their second sequel in this year. Zootopia 2. I've seen the original. I like the original Zootopia. I thought it was all right. A good film. And then another film called The Bad Guys 2. I like that. I like the original as well.
Awful.
Which one?
The Bad Guys. That was a trailer that was on How to Train Your Dragon.
Yes, The Bad Guys was a good
awful.
film. I liked it. What?
The trailer looked awful.
Okay then. Doesn't mean the film will be awful.
Alrighty then.
Yeah. Anything else? Let's see if there's anything else. Don't let John judge things before you've seen them, because that's just not good. Let's see.
I've seen the trailer, and the trailer made me not want to see the film. So there's a failure somewhere.
Yeah, marketing. Honestly, like some films have that sort of issue. See what is else coming out this year. See if
I'd also recommend in advance of RoboCop, there's a really great making of documentary with RoboCop as well. And I think these are especially good to look at from the 80s. It shows you how hard the director and the team work on that movie. Again, RoboCop deals with a lot of practical effects and stunts, and it shows you actually how good Peter Weller is as a physical actor. We'll get into more of that next week, and how he actually does all of the movements and the tutors that he had to create those robotic moves. It's really, really interesting, folks. So check out on YouTube the making of RoboCop. It's really, really good.
All right. Anything else? Happy Gilmore 2. Oh, I've seen the first one, so probably years and years ago.
Adam Sandler, I take it he's taking the lead
A
role.
new Demon Slayer movie.
Sandler. Cannot stand the guy.
Yeah, you kind of get used to him in some films. Like I think he's better in some films than he is in others. Like he was good in Hotel Transylvania. I like that one.
He's about he's in the same category as
sequels.
Jack Black for me. Super annoying.
To each his own.
Indeed. And with that, I think that probably much kills the conversation for this evening.
Yes, you killed the conversation, sir. How dare you?
Thank you.
You murderer.
Well, it's been great for me. How about you guys?
It's been great for me.
And it's been great for you. See you next week. Bye-bye.